Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're talking about a company I bet you've heard of, even if you don't know their whole story, HTC. Remember back when smartphones were first becoming really cool?
Oh, yeah.
HTC was right there leading the charge. We're going to uncover their fascinating rise and fall, which honestly is a story of groundbreaking innovation, but also some, well, let's just say interesting choices along the way. You ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Their journey is a masterclass in just how fast the tech landscape can change.
It really is. Okay, so picture this. It's the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Smartphones are just starting to become the thing, and HTC,
Hmm.
they were not afraid to experiment. Not only did they create the very first Android phone
Which is
ever,
huge.
huge, but they also released one of the first Windows phones, too. Remember those?
Oh, yeah, I remember those. I think I actually had one.
Really?
Yeah, it was before my smartphone era, though, for sure.
Right.
Early days.
It was a different time for sure.
Hmm.
But, and this is key, it wasn't just about shiny new features, right? HTC was pushing the boundaries of what a smartphone could actually be, and people loved them for it. But here's something that might actually blow your mind. At their peak, HTC was the third largest phone manufacturer globally.
Wow.
Bigger than Apple. Can you believe that?
It really shows you how quickly things can change in this industry. At that time, nobody could touch them. Nobody.
So we've got HTC riding high, raking in the dough, seemingly unstoppable. But we all know it didn't last, right? So where did things start to go wrong?
Well, HTC made what seemed like a pretty smart move at the time. They decided to go all in on high-end, expensive phones.
Okay, so go for quality. I get that.
Right, exactly. In theory, not a bad move.
Right.
But while HTC was busy crafting these luxurious, top-of-the-line devices, other companies, like, say, Samsung, they were creating phones at every single price point. They had something for everyone, whether you had $100 or 1,000 to spend.
And this, I'm sensing, is where we start to see the, let's call them cracks in HTC's strategy.
You got it. By focusing so intently on that top-tier market, they left this gap wide open.
Oh boy, I know where this is going. Here come those Chinese companies.
You know it. It was right around 2012, 2014 when brands like Huawei, Xiaomi, OnePlus, they all started making some serious moves.
And what was HTC's response to this new wave of competition?
So remember, HTC's whole thing was innovation, right? That was their jam. So they tried to double down. They introduced this new camera tech called Ultra Pixel.
Which, on the surface, sounds kind of cool, right? Ultra anything usually is. So what's the deal with Ultra Pixel?
Good question. So the thinking behind it was solid, actually. Larger pixels, right? That means better low-light performance. The problem?
Yeah.
Consumers at that point, they were obsessed with megapixels. More megapixels, better camera. Or so they thought.
Ah, yes, the megapixel myth. We all fell for it, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, pretty much. So even though HTC's ultra-pixel cameras were technically very good, maybe even better, they just couldn't win that marketing battle.
Right.
People looked at the number on the box, not the actual performance.
Makes you wonder, what if they just gave people the megapixel numbers they wanted, even if their own tech was already better?
It's a good question.
Would it have changed things?
Who knows? It's interesting to think about, though. But yeah, unfortunately for HTC, it didn't stop there.
Oh no. What else happened?
Okay, so those Chinese companies coming in, they were aggressive, they knew how to market, and they went after that global market hard. HTC. I hate to say it, but their marketing just paled in comparison.
It's like they forgot to tell anyone about their awesome tech.
Kind of, yeah. They just couldn't keep up.
And on top of that,
And on top of that, yeah, there were some internal issues, too.
uh,
Some of the decisions being made, they weren't exactly in line with what people actually wanted and the quality. Sadly, it started to slip.
that's a shame. You hate to see that, especially with a company that was once known for, being that good.
It really is kind of a classic story, right?
Mhm.
Company finds success, and then, I don't know, it's like they forget who they are, what they were doing that worked.
It happens all the time, unfortunately. And in HTC's case, I mean, with all those things working against them, what happened? I'm guessing that decline, it wasn't pretty.
No, it wasn't pretty. Remember how they were the third largest phone manufacturer?
Oh yeah, world stage.
Globally? Well, from that position, they start fading,
Yeah.
like, fast.
And the stock price,
Mhm.
that had to hurt.
Oh,
right?
yeah, it plummeted. At one point, their share price went from, get this, $42 to almost a single dollar.
Ouch. That's got to sting a bit.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think what gets me is, the human element of all this is
Yeah.
heartbreaking, right?
Mm.
To see a company that was once so innovative, doing such cool stuff, just struggle like that.
It really drives home this point. Innovation alone It's not enough.
It's like that old saying, what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah. Exactly. You've got to be able to adapt, to roll with the punches. Especially in tech, it's all about staying ahead of the curve, even anticipating what people are going to want next.
Which HTC they missed the mark on, it seems like.
They did, although there is a bit of a twist in this story.
Oh, okay, hit me.
So remember how I was saying, even in their diminished state, HTC still had, like, good bones, good people.
Yeah, their R&D department was still top-notch, right?
Oh, absolutely. So 2017 rolls around, and Google, they come knocking.
No way. Seriously, they acquired HTC.
Well, not all of it, but a significant portion.
Right.
Their R&D division, specifically.
Wow. So even in, their decline, HTC still had that something special that another tech giant wanted.
Right. Like I was saying, good bones. So yeah, even though they weren't the powerhouse they once were, their legacy, their DNA, it lived on in a way, which it does kind of make you wonder.
About what if HTC had made, I don't know, different choices? Like, what if they'd gone after that budget market too? Or what if they really leaned into that whole megapixel thing?
Right. Or what if they had seen those Chinese companies coming and been like, all right, team, time to switch gears. We're going global.
It's so easy for us to look back now with, the benefit of hindsight.
Oh, totally. It's like armchair quarterbacking, right?
But yeah, it's a good reminder that even with the best intentions, the most innovative products, sometimes it just comes down to timing, to luck. I don't know. It's tough.
It's like trying to predict the weather, right?
Yeah.
You can have the best forecast in the world, but then bam, a storm comes out of nowhere and changes everything.
It really is. And that's what makes the tech world so, I don't know, exciting, but also terrifying. You've got these massive companies, tons of resources, super smart people. But even then, there's no guarantee. One minute you're on top, next minute,
gone. Or, well, maybe not gone, but definitely not the giant you once were.
Exactly. And, it's that constant change, that not knowing what's coming next, that keeps things interesting, right? It creates space for these new players to come in, shake things up, maybe even become the next HTC, who then might make the same mistakes or completely different ones. You never know.
Right. And that's the thing. We can look at HTC's story and learn from it for sure, but there are no guarantees.
So as we wrap up here, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from HTC's rise and fall? Like, for our listeners, even if they aren't all running tech companies, what's the nugget of wisdom here?
Honestly, I think it's that adaptability thing we were talking about. HTC, they proved that being innovative is important, crucial even, but it's the ability to adapt, to evolve. That's what really matters in the long run.
Yeah, it's like you got to be flexible, right?
Yeah.
Willing to change direction quickly and never, ever lose sight of what your customer wants, even and maybe especially when the world around you is changing by the minute.
100%. Well said.
Well, there you have it. Another deep dive in the books. HTC, a company that, love them or hate them, they really did change the game. They showed us what was possible, and maybe, just maybe, their story can teach us all a thing or two about navigating this crazy tech world we live in. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.